Hi, welcome to week 2 of quarter 3. This is our fresh start. So, let's get into some math, give it all of our effort. Just keep in mind that there are 5 different ways for you to learn what we're learning this week. This is just one of the ways. So please feel free to reach out to me with any questions that you have. I'm here to help, and this is just one option, is this video, and there's lots of different ways to try and learn. So, let's get started. What we're going to be covering today is related to what we did on last week in the first week of class. It's also related to something that we did way back in the beginning of the school year. There's really nothing new except for one little concept. So, deep breath. We got this. All right, so let's take a look at the title. It says Solving Systems of Equations. So remember from last week, we say solving. We know the answer is going to be a point, so we always create a fill in the blank. Systems means 2. For us, it could mean more than 2, but for us it means 2. And equations are lines. And here's a new word that we haven't seen yet at all this year, is this word substitution. And just like a substitute teacher is a substitute for your teacher when you're in school, a substitution is going to be when we trade in to an equation for something else that's equal to it. So again, let's kind of read through what we got here. We have graphing. That's what we did in lesson 1.2. Same idea, different strategy. Graphing is visual. Now, substitution, we are going to be covering in this lesson and in the next lesson. There's 2 different kinds of substitution, so it takes a little bit longer for us to learn. Elimination we'll get to later, so just keep that in mind. All right, so to explain the idea of substitution, we're going to use money. Money is something that everybody uses and can see and visualize, so that's why we decided to do this. So the big idea here is that you can switch things out if they are equivalent or equal. So $1 is equal to 2 quarters and 10 nickels. So 2 quarters makes 50 cents. And 10 nickels makes 50 cents. And so when you add those 2 stacks of coins together, you get $1. You get 100 cents. Same for the next picture. We say $1 is equal to 8 dimes, so that's 80 cents is 8 dimes, and 20 pennies. So 20 pennies is 20 cents, 80 cents, and 20 cents add up to 100 cents, which is $1. So what we're looking at next here is that we take this first picture here and we're putting it here. Take the second picture here and we're putting it over here. What is true about these 2 stacks of coins? Well, we can say that they are equal. So we're going to take that idea and use it for an equation. Imagine if this was a y equals and a y equals here. You know, that y happens to be $1, but we can translate this idea into algebra. So let's look at our first example. Notice how it says y equals, and it says y equals. So what you can do is the same thing we did here, where we're going to take the first stack of coins, and we're going to take the second stack of coins, and since they're both equal to y, we are going to rewrite them for x plus 80 as equal to each other. Since they're both equal to $1, they're equal to each other. Now, hopefully this is looking familiar from the beginning of the school year. And if it's not, that's okay. I'm going to go pretty slow through how do we solve this equation. Oh, I forgot to do our strategy because I was getting caught up, but solve the system of equations. Remember, you always want to prepare yourself for getting your answer right by writing down a fill in the blank for what your answer should look like. It's still going to be a point. We're just not using a graph, we're using algebra. So if you remember the song that I had from the beginning of the school year, it says, first you cancel the x's on the right, on the right. And so if we're using the same color scheme that I did earlier in the school year, so we look for the x's that are on the right. There are 7 x's on the right, and we want to get rid of them. We want to cancel them. Another way to say that is create 0 on that side of the equal sign. And whenever we're doing this kind of algebra where we have to solve an equation, remember we always add from top to bottom. So we got 4 plus -7. 4 plus -7. That's giving me -3. So I have -3 x's here. We didn't do anything with the group of 81s, so we rewrite it. And we didn't do anything with the group of 21s on the right-hand side, so we rewrite it. All right, let's keep going. The next part of the song, if you guys remember, hopefully you do, is you cancel the numbers on the left, on the left. So we're going to -80, -80. And really what we're doing is we're adding -81s, because +80 and -80 create 0. And so again, if we want to figure out what the group of +21s and the group of -81s adds up to, you always add top to bottom. We've got -60 there. And then this is a -3x there. And then the rest of the song goes, last divide by the number that's in front of the x. So we divide by the -3 on both sides. Remember, always divide top to bottom. And when we divide top to bottom, we would put into our calculator -60. I just realized my face is in the wrong spot. -60 divided by, -60 divided by -3. Top divided by bottom, and we get x is equal to 20. So since our x goes first in our parentheses, we would put the x first. Okay, but since we were so good at setting ourselves up for success, we have another blank to fill in. And here's something that, you know how to do this, but it's something maybe you haven't seen before. So I don't want you to get worried about it. It's really not too much for you. We have our equations here that are equal to y. We know what x is. I always use the top equation. You can use either equation and you will get the same answer. So y equals 4x. Okay, well, we found x. X is 20. So remember, if two things are right next to each other, a 4 and an x, a letter and a number, or 2 letters, it means multiply. And then we have to add 80. And really, you don't have to solve anything for this. You just do 4 times 20 plus 80, and you get your final answer. It says y. Y is already alone, right? So we don't have to solve for y. We just have to put the numbers into our calculator, and we got it. So we have the point 20, 60. All right, so I went through that example pretty slowly for you. This next one, I'm going to go a little bit quicker. Remember, you can always pause, and again, I do not expect you to learn this only from this video. There are lots of options for you. Please reach out. We can do it. We'll get to it. We'll get you to it. All right, so remember, one equation is equal to y, and the other equation is also equal to y. So all we're doing is we're taking one equation and setting it equal to the other. That's it. You're just taking... Had a little technical difficulty there. Sorry about the weird splicing. But now we have the left-hand side of the equal sign, right-hand side of the equal sign. We're just solving like we would what we did in the beginning of the school year. Remember, we're solving a system of equations. So we want to set ourselves up for success and make sure we have the fill in the blanks ready for us when we get to the end. Because a really common mistake is forgetting to solve for the y and only solving for the x. All right, so again, the strategy that we learned at the beginning of the school year, we're highlighting the groups of x's, we're highlighting the groups of y's, and we're going to solve for x. So first we cancel the x's on the right, on the right. So the opposite sign gets added. -5 plus 3, that's -2x. You have plus 16. And on the right-hand side, you have 24. All right, the next part of the song is then you cancel the numbers on the left, on the left. So on the left-hand side of the equal sign, we come on over. We're going to add top to bottom. Again, if you're struggling with the negative numbers, adding and subtracting, that's perfectly fine. It's normal. Just become a calculator person like me. I did okay. No, of course we want you to learn how to do it without a calculator, but I'd rather you learn these big ideas than be stuck with the small ideas. So we got divide by -2 on both sides. Remember, you always divide top to bottom. So no shame in your game if you're a calculator person. Just make sure you know how to use your calculator properly. Top to bottom, x is equal to -4. So we know x comes first in the point, x comma y. And now we need to actually solve for y. So like I said before, I always use the top equation to get y. You don't have to use the top equation to get y. You could use the top bottom equation. It'll give you the same answer, but as you've seen in some of my other strategies, I am very much a creature of habit. I like to do things the same way every single time so that I do not make any mistakes. And then I'm going to do plus 16 there. And actually, you could use parentheses. I've seen a few of you use parentheses, but to be consistent, I'm going to use a multiplication symbol in between. All right, so let's do it. We got, just plug the whole thing into your calculator if you want. You could do it by hand and say to yourself, -5 times -4, that's +20, plus 16, that's 36. Or you could just put the whole thing in your calculator and get 36 as your final answer. All right, I'm going to pause here for a second. I want you guys to do you only have 2 questions on this assignment, so I'd like you to do those 2 questions that are on your assignment. We're going to go back and look at how do we check our answers. We want to show that our answers are correct. So I'm going to pause. I'm going to wait for you to do those 2 questions. We'll come back and we'll talk about how to check your answers. All right. Real quick, at the end, I'm going to show you how to check your answer. I hope you're feeling success. Our password is communication, all caps, with a exclamation point. Remember, communication is the only way we're going to be successful in distance learning. So reach out to me, text, email, whatever you need to do. I'm here for you. Communicate, communicate, communicate. All right, so we're going to go and look at the first question, and we're going to take the second equation. Remember, we didn't do anything with the second equation yet, so here's the second equation rewritten, and here is our answer to that. Oops, I switched my x and my y. Fixed it. Okay, so what we're going to do is just basically plug in our numbers. So I plugged in the 160 in for y, and I plugged in, I'm going to put 7 times 20 plus 20, put in my 20 for the x, and I'm just going to see if it's true. So we have, is 160 equal to 7 times 20 is 140 plus 20. Is 160 equal to 160? Yes, it is correct. All right, and it would be the same for the other problem. Remember, if you want some more help with this, Thursday at 2 p.m. in FJ Office 10. See you there.